Hi, and welcome to On Location with Jeff and Murray. And our special guest here today is Brooklyn Derksen from Prince George. Are you from Prince George?
Yeah.
Okay, from
Born
Prince
and
George.
raised.
Born and raised, nice, because we have to get to know her more. That's where we'll start. Born and raised PG. She is a yoga and meditation teacher and wellness coach.
Yeah, that's
So
me.
we'd love to get to know you more.
Yeah.
And thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me. It's just a pleasure to be here. I'm really excited to enjoy a fun conversation with you today.
Well, let's start how you became who you are now. So you're born and raised in Prince George.
Yeah, I mean, as we were saying before we went rolling here, is like, how much time do you got, right? Everyone has such a big story and goes through their own trials and tribulations. I mean, I'm almost 30 now, so I've had my fair share. At least I like to think so. But really what got me here is I spent a lot of my young life unwell, so in and out of the hospitals, doctor's offices, things like that. So I just, pretty much from the time I was born, I struggled with health issues, and then for a short window in my adolescence, I was a free bird, and then about 9 years old, things sort of came back. So a long, several year journey with health struggles.
Okay. And this is how you became a healer then?
Yeah. It just kind of led me down the path of self-discovery and exploration and learning how to alchemize pain and really hard things and traumas, and learning how to rewire those into more of an empowering truth and an empowering way to step into the world moving forward. So lots of those character building experiences in my years so far. I have no doubt that I'll have many more.
But now you know you have the tools to deal with them?
I have a few more tools in my toolbox to be able to navigate the twists and turns of life, so to speak.
I like it. Well said. Yeah. Well, you look very healthy now, and you're glowing.
Thank you.
So you must be doing what you love now.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I've come a long way. I'm not quite where I'd like to be in regards to my health, and I think that will be an ever-evolving journey.
For all of us.
I think for many of us, right, we learn new things or, experiment in a different way, and oopsie, things just kind of click different, and maybe even things that have found you earlier in life, they come back around, and at a time when you're finally ready to start exploring them. So I have no doubt that will be me carrying on this path of self-discovery and reflection and healing.
I like it.
But at the same time, it's not my purpose.
Not your purpose. Do you know your purpose?
Wow. I think my purpose has room to sort of evolve and change as I do, but the biggest reason why I know I'm here is that God put me here to spread love and kindness, and so that is the biggest thing I try to do, and I might not be perfect at it.
Love and kindness. I love that.
Yeah, I really truly believe that I'm put here to spread light.
Nice. I truly believe that too.
Yeah,
nice.
Exactly. So that's really what I try to leave the door every morning with in my heart is, let's be a light worker today. Let's smile at someone today. Let's spread some joy. Let's spread some kindness. Let's do God's work. And that's really my intention when I step out of the day, regardless of the other titles and achievements that happen. When my head hits the pillow, it's like, did I make someone smile today? Did I ease the load of someone else? Even if it's just like a fraction or a tiny hair of an amount, it still counts. Did I give someone even just a simple moment to relax and feel seen for a second? So it may only be 5 seconds of the whole day, but did I do something, at least one thing that I feel in my heart is in alignment with love and light and the energy of God. So
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to jump in there.
Yeah, please.
Because I had an experience with you. I took I think it was 4 meditation classes, but I only made 1 because I was gone those weekends.
Yeah.
Those days. And so I remember, so I come into your class. That's the first time I met you.
Yeah,
and
right.
I remember there was a class full, and we all got comfortable. I don't remember exactly, because I remember all of a sudden it was over. And you were talking about a theta state or something. I forget exactly what.
Yeah.
I felt like I must have dropped into some sort of state.
Yeah.
So you had that moment in one of my days, and that was a good moment to go
I love that.
deep into. Is it theta?
What you're describing to me, I would acknowledges theta. It's like you're not asleep. You're conscious of being awake, but you're also not fully awake. So
Yeah.
it's your body's asleep, but your mind is still active, but your mind is active on theta waves. So it's still a conscious state, but it's a very relaxed, very healing state.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Time went so fast. Felt like
Well,
it was over.
exactly,
Yeah.
right? And this is why you're aware of it. You're aware that you were there and that it all happened, even though your body, as far as your body knew, you were sleeping. So it's kind of this very cool, interesting thing you get to witness when you start meditating or learning about meditating, or even just learning about the neuroscience behind how the brain waves become calmer or slower. And there's so many ways that we could get there, and meditation's one of them, and one that I'm really passionate about, because we're still, and so it's
Yeah.
really easy to notice what state you're in, because there's no other distractions, there's no other like senses being bombarded with information. You're just left with the information from within, which can be very challenging, and I acknowledge that for many people it can feel like a lot all at once, and this is where cultivating tools is so important. But yeah, tools to be able to navigate that and sit with that, and that's where
Like the stillness.
meditation comes in handy.
Ah,
It's just
I
it's a tool to practice. It's like
Yeah.
it's really a practice. It's like anything, you want to be a good soccer player, or you want to play high level sport, you got to go to practice. You got to do your training.
Yeah.
Right? If you want to have
Visualizing.
mental calmness in your life, if you want to feel peace and ease, you got to do your training. Like your brain isn't just all of a sudden going to know how to handle all of this stress that we have nowadays. We weren't born with that in our, most primal biology. It was a much different time when we came into the world, and the world has evolved, but our physiology hasn't. So we're trying to play catch up, and we're all feeling
Well said.
tired and run
Yeah.
down, and like we can't handle the stress. Well, it's because we just haven't practiced enough of, I guess, the brain weightlifting that you need in order to feel more solid through these ups and downs.
Yeah. Well
Yeah,
said.
yeah.
And then you mix that with the yoga as well. So you're still teaching meditation, obviously.
Yeah, yeah.
And yoga.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm still doing the yoga, and that's here in town. I teach at a couple studios, and then privately just doing my own thing.
Nice.
So it's fun. Yeah, I love it. I teach at Chinook Studio and Sunset. So shout out to both those studios. Either one you go to, you're gonna love and feel part of a really beautiful community. So, little plug for the amazing
great.
yoga studios we have in town here. But
They're loved by PG, both of them.
yeah, it's good to see. It's good to see, especially after moving through the pandemic and everything, where lots of things were shut down, and yoga studios
Yeah.
really nearly didn't make
Took
it.
a
So
hit.
it's good to see some rebuilding happening,
I like
and
that.
some studios around doing really well. So
Yeah, that's good.
yeah.
What classes do you teach?
So I teach a Thursday evening class that's it's in a warm room, so it's about 30-ish degrees. It's infrared heat, so
nice.
this beautiful kind of heat that comes into the body and helps to heal and regenerate tissues and cells and
So they have a room.
reorganize. Yeah,
Is
so
that
it's a heated room with panels on the ceiling.
That's in Chinook?
This one is at Sunset, but
Okay,
Chinook also
okay.
has the heated room as well.
Nice.
So, yeah, but the Thursday class is the warm class that I teach at Sunset. That's in the evening. That's a half yoga. We do go through like a nice gentle movement practice. It's a hatha flow,
Hatha,
so you're
nice.
still working and testing your strength, but it's not power yoga. You're not dripping sweat and busting through limits. You're just testing to see where the limits are. So that's the yoga part of the class. And then the second part of class is actually meditation. So it's about
nice,
a 20-minute
perfect.
meditation where I walk people through different tools to be able
Okay.
to manage their nervous system and stress. And so in that meditation portion, we cover everything from like body scans and typical meditation work to breathing and just breath awareness, things like that. So people are learning some very cool skills in
Yeah.
that second part of the class that if they want to, they can take off the mat and be able to apply it to their lives. So
That's great.
yeah, it's very cool.
They must love that.
They
See-
tell me that,
Yeah.
so I like to believe them and take that at face value, and,
Yeah.
and
I think I would like that because I love
Yeah.
Shavasana. I just wanted to extend.
oh,
So you
it's
extend
so
that.
good. Yeah, it feels so good, especially after you've gone through the yoga journey, you've kind of moved through your body, you've tested your edges and worked your body a little bit. And so when you're doing new things and testing new edges that you have to really stay focused and feel in the body, you're not really spending as much time up here. Like, I don't know if you've ever noticed, if you're really engaged in a task or something that you need to do, whether it's playing a sport or painting a picture or getting into a workflow for your day.
Flow state.
Right? When you're in that flow, you're not thinking about all the other things that are typically on your mind in a moment where you have nothing to do, right? And so we've kind of gone through that with the yoga. People get very connected and into their bodies, so they're already present with what they're experiencing in their bodies, but then by the end of the class, we then take it a little bit further so that, okay, they're out of their brains, they're into their bodies. Now, what happens when we bring it all to stillness? What happens for them? Do they find that the brain stuff starts to come back? Do they find it's easier to maintain? And then this is where they'll take it on their own individual journey, and we'll chat about it after class or whatever if they have questions or anything to share. But it's a really nice invitation in that way, because it really kind of takes you through the whole process before you're just all of a sudden in stillness and figuring out how to do that. So I do love that class for that reason. And then I teach a Wednesday class, a Wednesday noon
Thursday.
class, and that's
Nice.
not heated because there's lots of people who don't like heat, and I understand that. So the Wednesday class is wonderful. I teach it at noon at Chinook, and that's, people of all walks of life come to that class, but I do get more attendees who are in their later years of life.
Coming at their lunch hours?
Lunch hours,
Or
but if they're
retirees?
retired, then
Nice.
that's sort of their activity for the day.
Yeah.
That's their socialization, and it's very rewarding work when you start working with people who are losing mobility and trying to keep extending their longevity. So it's very inspiring too when you see people in their 70s, 80s, double hip replacements, double knee replacements, and they're like standing up and down on the ground and
All the way. My mom's in her 70s now, and she does chair yoga. She loves it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's so great about having other options like that, like chair yoga for people who aren't quite able to, or maybe even just don't want to go through the process of down and up and down and up.
Exactly.
That chair yoga is a nice opportunity to kind of keep things more level. So,
Yeah, that makes sense.
Excuse me, so you don't have to, be up and down all the time.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I love that for her.
Yeah,
though.
it's great. Eh?
Yay.
Yeah, she loves the community around it too. So.
Yeah, I bet.
That's cool. Yeah.
Oh, that's great to hear.
Yeah. So then do you mix music in too? I want to bring in music into
Sometimes. So I've sang at the end of classes.
Nice.
Sometimes. It really depends. I find after an hour or an hour and 15 minutes of straight talking and projecting my voice, things can get tired.
Yeah.
So then by the end, it's harder to sing. So that's kind of tricky. I'm navigating that because I really would like to sing for my students more. But my biggest goal for the next year is to get one of those pan drums so that I might not be able to sing, but I could still play live music while they're in meditation. And it's just very meditative, calm music.
I like that.
So that would be fun, because then I could play live music for their shavasana while I'm facilitating the guided meditation. So so that would be really fun. I think that's sort of on my list of goals that I'd like to see for my classes moving forward. But TBD, we'll see.
So I'm sure you got quite the list of goals.
Yeah, always.
Do you have any musical
for all
goals
things
or anything?
I do.
Yeah?
Fancy you brought that up. My musical goals right now are just to get back performing, get back out into the community, allow myself to be seen again as an instrumentalist and as a vocalist, because when you're out of the practice of it, when you're out of the practice of being in the eye like that, it's hard to then step right back into it.
You'll love it.
I will.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a performer at heart, right?
Yeah.
So
When are you stepping
I
back
will
into
love
it?
it. I'm stepping back into it this weekend.
Yeah.
So it's Pride Month, yay! And there's a bunch of beautiful community events happening next weekend for the Pride Festival and the parade and
Awesome.
supports and awareness. So there is a Pride High Tea Bridgerton theme, so like that. Victorian, old
Yeah,
Victorian
that's
style.
cool.
And so with a fun pride twist for whoever wants to add that
Yeah.
on. So it'll be very fun, nice ball gowns, corsets, fancy hair, and the funny hats and things like that. So think,
Yeah, that'll be fun.
my clothes keep falling off here, but I think that type of really fun sort of family event. It's a family-friendly event because a lot of those events may not be as privy to young children and things. So the PG Pride Society is trying to make things more accommodating to full families.
Good,
And
good.
yeah, so
We've come a long way the last 25 years.
I
Prince
agree.
George.
Yeah, with releasing a lot of the stigma
Yeah.
and generating a lot of acceptance, but also really working as a community with the Pride Society and BIPOC
great.
community, so that we can create events that really tailor to everyone, so we can really just come and morph all together like we're really meant to.
Yeah.
So yeah, very excited that they're putting that on. That's going to be at the Ramada downtown on Saturday
Ramada,
from 2 to
okay.
4. So
Nice.
yeah, if you're in the mood for some music and
Yeah.
fun little tea and whatever goodies they've got, you know where to go.
I would. I
Yeah.
potentially would, but I'm in Penticton for a wedding this week.
Oh, well, that's just as fun.
I
I
guess,
love a
but
good
if
dance
you
at a
really-
wedding.
Yeah. Meet new people.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
dancing.
Yeah,
I love
so- of
dancing
course you're
so
gonna dance as well.
much. So,
Nice.
yeah, I mean, I grew up playing music, but I also grew up dancing with Judy Russell. So,
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
So did my sister. Yeah.
yeah. So I did some productions and stuff with Judy's Enchement, and that was very fun growing up. But
Yeah.
now it's just led to me loving dancing. So whether I
Yeah.
go out with
And movement.
friends or at a birthday or a wedding,
Yeah,
you can find
fun.
me on the dance floor. Or if there is no dance floor, you can still find me dancing somewhere,
Yeah.
making my own
That's
dance
cool.
floor. Yeah.
What kind of dance did you take? Let me guess. Jazz, ballet.
Yeah, I did take
Okay.
those. I did musical theater, of course,
Yes.
and I did hip hop briefly,
Yeah.
and
Cool.
I did a lot of modern. Modern was fun for me, which is more of like a contemporary. It's
Okay.
very artsy, so you're really using the body to paint this picture and tell a
Nice.
story. It's very beautiful stuff.
Huh.
I mean, I know some incredible dancers, so I love getting to watch them move because it's poetry when they
It really
move.
is
Very
poetry
cool.
and movement.
Yeah, it's so cool, and I have it a little bit, but yeah, it's just something when you just watch someone really dialed into emoting through movement. It's really beautiful. So
Yeah. Nice.
yeah.
Well, have me thinking. So, you're born whereabouts in Prince George? Did you grow up? Heart downtown.
I'm a heart girl.
I'm a heart boy.
We're a different
Nice.
breed, I like
Yeah,
to
we
think,
are.
because we just have longer winters. It's a little bit colder
Yeah.
up there.
Aye,
You don't realize it. Say if you live in the bowl, and I've lived in the bowl, so I've had that experience too. You don't realize it, but it's a solid 4 or 5 degrees colder up there.
Oh, and there's snow for another month.
Yeah,
At least.
yeah, and so it's a nice warm sunny day down
Yeah.
in town, and you drive up the hill, and there's a cold, crisp breeze,
love
and you
that.
got to put the
Yeah.
sweater on. And
As long as you're dressed
so,
accordingly.
yeah, exactly right.
So you graduated from Kelly Road?
No, I did go to DP Todd. I
Yeah,
went
yeah.
to Montessori Elementary School at
Okay.
High Glen, which is since the downtown location has since burned down. I think
Oh.
they're up in College Heights now.
Okay.
Yeah, that was several years ago now. But I moved just from Montessori over to DP Todd because my elementary was in the catchment area. So
see.
that's how that worked. I was a very fortunate kid to get to attend a private elementary school
That's nice, yeah.
that was very accommodating to different learning styles and different learning paces and different levels in which kids were progressing at. They were really supportive and accommodating to that. Didn't matter what grade you were in. So it was
that's good.
it was a very beautiful way to get to grow up going to school. It was
That's
hard
good.
to transition then into normal public school. Then I had to go
Yeah.
through that a little bit in high
Yeah.
school, but as an adult now, reflecting back, I can't thank my parents enough for doing that for me, because it really taught me my own sense of work ethic and accountability very,
Yeah.
very young.
So you had some
Yeah.
good schooling.
Yeah, it was,
Yeah,
and it
nice.
wasn't. It never felt. I never felt like I was stuck or being kept against my will at school. I always felt like I got to work on things I was interested in, and I got
Nice.
to expand my artistic pursuits. And so, even though I was getting all my work done, I had so much flexibility to get to explore different hobbies and things that I enjoyed. So I really attribute that to why I'm such a multifaceted person now, because I had the opportunities to be able to do that
Yeah.
from elementary school,
Dance,
but then also just
yeah.
having parents who were open and
Very supportive, obviously.
enough to
Yeah.
provide that for me.
That's nice.
Yeah, not everyone has that, and I acknowledge
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah, I was
yeah,
lucky.
I definitely feel
I was
lucky.
very blessed as well.
Mm-hmm.
I always loved the arts, but I resonated more with sports.
I know.
Yeah.
I was
But-
that way too.
Yeah,
I
were you?
grew up
Okay.
playing high level soccer
Oh,
basically
nice.
until university.
Okay.
And then when it came to play
Great.
university, I declined a lot of the offers because I just wasn't in a good place. And
Fair enough. Yeah.
best decision I made.
Really?
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
you-
I loved soccer, but it was deteriorating my body and my,
Yeah.
my mind, and it was just too hard on me in
You
a lot
weren't
of
ready,
ways.
yeah.
And you know, I have a lot of respect for people who can navigate high level sports and the pressure that requires, and
Pain, pressure.
yeah, all of that you have to push
Yeah.
through, and even just the fatigue of, you know, having a sport that you are excelling at, but then also keeping up with the academic things as a student athlete, for example.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of respect for it. I've seen bits of it for myself. My brother played at NCAA, so I got to
Oh, he
see
does?
that. He
Currently?
did.
Oh, he did?
He did, yeah. So
For
I really
soccer?
got to see how
Yeah.
things kind of work.
Yeah.
But I'm overall very grateful that I really embraced my artistic side.
Yeah.
And
I didn't do that until later.
yeah, I love getting to challenge my body and express my athleticism through yoga
Yeah.
and going to the gym and even my walks and things like that. So it's still there, and the same spirit is there. It's just a much healthier relationship with exercise and movement
Yeah,
than
good.
than what it was when I was an athlete, and it was always
It really
push hard,
drives you.
go hard all the
Hey, we
time.
did that at the same time. So
Yeah,
true.
I know, it's because
Yeah.
we get it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, now
Yeah.
I kind of wish, I don't want to do it all over again, no regrets,
Mm-hmm.
but if I could have embraced my artistic side, my musical side before, when
Mm-hmm.
I was younger, and combined the two somehow. Because I didn't really
Right.
know what I wanted to do my whole life. And then once I finished sport, I fell into the creative world and I loved it. It's a whole
Yeah.
new passion.
Yeah, right?
Maybe
It's
that's- yeah.
so cool.
Yeah.
Like anything that maybe is untouched to you, once you get to start pulling back the initial layers, you start learning, whoa, this is a whole world that I
Yeah.
had no idea existed.
And I love it here.
Yeah, and I love it here.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's where it's very interesting that you bring that up, because if I hadn't gone through a lot of the health issues that I went through, I likely wouldn't have pivoted to art and music.
It forced you to pivot. eh?
Yeah, even though that's what felt truly most in alignment with me, and even though that felt most true for me at the time, I didn't really know it until life took me in the direction that it kind of forced me to see
Yeah.
it, and then I started really growing into my music and blossoming into
Nice.
that, and that was really fun. That was through high school, and it really started becoming the priority. And
Yeah. Is that when
yeah.
you started healing more? Is that when that all, your healing journey started?
I would say that music played a big role in my healing, whether it was the people I got to meet. I had a vocal coach in high school. Her name's Robin. I think she still teaches. She might be close to retirement now. I don't know. Hi, Robin. But
Hi, Robin. Is it Robin Tuck by chance?
it was Robin Norman.
Okay, I don't know.
And high school was a very hard time for me, just given the health issues I was going through and behind closed doors. Because it's a very interesting age. You can't really bare your soul because
Yeah.
no one really has the tools to be able to
So
hold space
vulnerable.
for that,
Yeah.
right? And they're going through their own things. So I didn't really talk a lot about my health stuff, just a lot of people knew that it was happening. And you know, we joke around about it at school and stuff, which had benefits and then also had challenges later on. But I think for me, it's like if I hadn't gotten to a point where my health wasn't able to continue to pursue soccer in the way that on the trajectory that I was anyway, I wouldn't have changed gears in the same way. And so for me, like, you talk about having wanted the opportunity to get to experience arts a little earlier, and I'm grateful that I did. It wasn't in an easy way that I got to, but I did, and so I got that gift to be able to sort of explore it earlier on and decide whether I wanted to carry it on into my later years or
That's
not.
great.
But
Thank God you had that gift too.
right, exactly. And it especially because music became such an outlet for me and such a supportive place. And where I was getting at when I was mentioning Robin was that might be feeling terrible. Maybe I had a hard day at school, but I'd go to her house after school. I'd walk there. She was close by, and it was just such a safe space. And I'd cry if I had
Relax.
to, and just let it all out. And she was always so supportive for me. And then we'd start singing, and then it just became a very healing experience for me. The music and the singing, but also just that relationship and getting that safe space. And if she ends up watching this and it makes the cut, she might get to learn that for the first time. I don't know if I've ever actually told her that to her face, and I probably should.
Yeah,
but
you should, eh?
Yeah, but...
Send her an invite to yoga or something. Or
yeah,
tea.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, I'm fortunate to have had that and to have it kind of shape the way that I have my hobbies now as an adult, right? And so... even though I'm stepping back into the community as a professional musician, music will always be like my blissful thing. And so I know that no matter what, I can sit down at my keys at 10 o'clock at night when the world has gone to bed, and I can just get lost for a couple hours. But
it feels like, yeah.
Yeah, you're like, well, that was a good 5 minutes,
Nice.
2 hours. Okay, I should probably get on to something else.
So healing.
It is, yeah. It's just like when you're in that flow, and it's, it's just like
Something with the vibration, something about vibration in music.
Oh my gosh, and
when I sing,
sound healing is just so
Yeah.
profound. And as a singer, as a singer who's now gone into the yoga and meditation space, there's sound healing is a very, very, maybe that thought is not leading me to where I want to go, but sound healing is such a powerful tool, especially in the yoga and meditation space. And I think it's a powerful tool in our everyday, and we just don't realize it.
I agree.
You know?
Yeah, I used to listen to frequencies more. I don't know if it actually worked, but I like to believe it did, like 5 to 8 hertz, just through YouTube, and I liked it.
I strongly believe in frequency healing, and
nice.
you know, and some people think this is woo-woo and out there, and that's okay. Like, I don't mind.
Yeah. So I'm from your belief too.
I can feel that. So for me, it's like anything in existence, anything that's made up of matter is made up of energy, and anything that's made up of, atoms and energy has a frequency, because energy has to resonate at a certain speed. And it might be slow, it might be fast, it might be super slow, it might be super fast, but there's a resonance happening. There's a frequency happening. And so I believe, those frequencies are around us all the time, 24/7, right?
I agree. I like to believe there's a big bubble.
Right? And most
Love
people
and
who are
gratitude.
engineers or study power systems or stuff like that, they understand it in their own way too, because it's their area of study. So they deeply understand something that can't be seen. And so it's easier to grasp onto the fact that, other things, not just radio waves and microwaves and things like that, have frequency. At least what I found in my, conversations, and when you kind of test the waters a little bit around this topic, you sort of get to notice patterns in certain demographics.
Yeah.
It's
Good way to put it.
It's cool. Yeah.
it's interesting.
And
You can feel
neither's
it.
right or wrong. It's just it's patterns. It's like, that's very cool.
Although I know there's sometimes where it's like, that energy's wrong for me. It's like, I respect you.
Totally.
Lots of love and all that.
Yeah, totally. And then there's that. Of course, there's nuance.
And I want to hold space for certain people. But I do find myself, I want to love everybody equally and all that. But there's certain people I don't want close to me.
There's discernment. Exactly.
It's
important to have the discernment, and it's for that reason. And some of us might be a little bit more in tune. Those people who identify as maybe being highly sensitive or empathic, they're not just saying that, and this is where I do believe there's stigma around that. Some people are born into the world with a deeper capacity to feel these really intricate small energy changes, and some people aren't. And that's okay. I have people in my family have no idea what I'm talking about when I'm talking about what I'm feeling. But they believe it because I'm experiencing it, right? And so they understand it for me, but they might not understand it for themselves.
Maybe one day.
Yeah, exactly. So when you're talking about certain people, and everyone will get this to an extent because we all have our inner knowing, right? But, you know, if you're around someone who's just not quite the right energy for you and you don't know why, but you just feel it.
Yeah.
We all have a little bit of that,
I can
but
feel it in
there's some
certain areas.
people who have it on like hyperdrive. And those people, like I've said, might identify as empathic or highly sensitive, like just highly attuned to that. And that's actually because we're born with extra mirror neurons in the brain. And mirror neurons are the neurons that match energy. So like what we see and what we feel, we
makes sense.
match just automatically. It's how our brain operates. And so if we're around an energy that doesn't feel good, our energy matches it because of the higher count in mirror neurons. Everyone has mirror neurons. This is how people have empathy and compassion. But some people have more. And so that's okay,
Yeah.
right? I don't know if there's any way to know, like test it, how many
Yeah.
mirror neurons you have, but you just know because you feel it. And you know through your everyday, okay, this person doesn't feel all this influx of information and energy that I feel, but I feel it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
clearly there's something different about how we process and how we take things in that is undeniable. And
Really is.
you know, mirror neurons can be a really huge reason for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's simple, and it might not be in everyone's case, but it's a really common reason for why some people are a little bit more sensitive, a little bit more attuned maybe.
And they probably vibrate higher or towards. I wish I could understand.
I think they could be susceptible to vibrating a little bit higher or on the lower end. I think it really depends, and this
yeah.
can be for anyone too, on your surroundings.
Yeah.
Of course, some
Important.
people are just born what they're born with, and maybe, you know, they're
Yeah.
not changing too much, or they don't want to, and that's fine, right? But yeah, for the people that are sort of connecting to this part of themselves and riding that wave, I think it is really dependent on intention, who you surround yourself with, what your inner dialogue is like.
Key to
Yeah, so it's not all just what you're around.
If you're going
You know,
to
what's going on inside matters.
Yeah. And if
Yeah.
you're going to Wednesday yoga at noon, and if you're going to meditation class
Yeah,
slash
we're going to
yoga
Thursday yoga meditation.
then
Then
that helps. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
I got into
mean,
meditation and yoga years ago, and maybe become a much better athlete.
yeah,
Even just power yoga and hatha, and then kundalini. I didn't really like the kundalini too much, though.
yeah.
Is that what it's called? Kundalini, where you?
Yeah, I mean,
Anyways,
it is
Okay, I didn't
an
really.
energy
I
activation.
couldn't really
yeah.
love that one for some reason. It was a grind. But hatha and then
a lot.
power yoga.
Cool.
And
hey?
yin. Then I used to do yin. I feel so much more
A yin.
Yeah.
You probably felt so much more open.
and more
right?
athletic. Remember the weeks
Yeah.
where I was training yoga and before tournaments, I'd feel more in tune with the ball, like everything, touch, and being in tune with just everything.
Yeah.
It was way better when I was in the process of doing yoga before my
See,
competitions.
that's so cool, and I think like I'm just nerding out with you right now because because there's a reason for for that. There's a reason why you felt better. You noticed better performance, better focus, better
Grounding, everything.
yeah, everything. You know, better even performance in your body
Yeah.
as a
Yeah.
result of yoga because your
Yeah.
recovery is better. You
Oh,
know,
everything.
you're moving through, you're opening up your tissues, you're
Yeah.
releasing, you know, stuck contraction in your body.
Yeah.
You're opening up your energy channels. You're breathing better.
Yeah.
You're learning how to discipline and focus your brain, and which
So
is
true.
extremely important when you're in a high performance sport. So, to me, I'm not
Yeah.
surprised,
Nice,
but
yeah.
it's so cool to listen to because you hear a lot of high level athletes. Like most professional athletes practice yoga and meditate now.
Yeah.
If you do your research, you'll find most actually do,
Yeah. And
especially the
visualize?
ones.
So
yes,
key, yeah.
especially the ones who are like the goats. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
true that.
LeBron James, he's been meditating for many, many,
Oh, I
many
bet.
years.
Yeah.
You know, he's doing his own meditation programs
Yeah.
with sports teams now. There's a
for
reason
him.
for that because it works.
Oh yeah, it really does. You're
right?
practicing in your
And
mind.
meditation isn't just,
Calm.
and this is I talk about this with students a lot. As a
Yeah.
meditation teacher, you find this a lot. There's a huge misperception on what meditation is. You know, meditation is commonly thought of as the act of stopping thoughts. Meditation is not the act of stopping thoughts. Meditation is not the act of having a completely wiped brain.
I like
That
that
is
because I
not
never,
meditation.
like, the only way I could get around that, I'm like, how do I understand that? So I'd have to visualize a sport,
Yeah.
or just visualize the energy around me, or something.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what I mean by that is our brain is an intelligent organ. There's no mistakes in how it was made.
Yeah.
It is designed perfectly, celestially,
Yeah.
purposefully too,
It's-
and intentionally. And so it's not designed not to think. Opposite.
Yeah.
Our mind was created to think, to have free-form thinking, to have individuality, to have consciousness. So if that's the sole reason why our brain exists is to have such a key function for being a human, why would we want to shut that off?
Yeah. Why don't
What
we-
the heck,
Yeah.
huh?
You think we should
It's
learn
like-
this from a young age, all of it.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, we're not yet anyway.
Yeah,
Maybe
no.
we'll get there. But that's where I find people have the most trouble when it comes to even starting to meditate, is that they go in with the expectation that they should be able to clear their mind in 2 minutes. And the reality is that's going against every piece of your natural biology, and it's not going to happen. And
Good
all
luck.
it's going to do is make you feel crappy about it and like you're failing.
Yeah.
And like you can't do it. But the reality is you just haven't learned the skills yet to be able to do it.
Yeah.
You haven't generated the practices and tools to be able to sit with the thinking mind without having to go on a ride, without having it, you know, pull you out of your body, without it feeling too overwhelming, sorry, that you can't manage. These are common feelings when someone starts to meditate, and I
Overwhelming
experience them.
things, really. Okay.
Yeah, they're common because many people maybe have not spent a single moment with themselves,
so
or
it-
their emotions, or their thoughts,
So it
or
all
their
just comes
beliefs.
flowing.
And so you get still for long enough without distraction, and all the stuff that is silenced within those distractions is given a microphone. So all the things that you either distract yourself to shut out, or have swept under the rug, or perhaps just hasn't processed yet because you've had so much information coming at you from life in the world that the brain hasn't had time to go through the processing process of that thought or that feeling or that emotion or whatever.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And so when you come to stillness and the body starts to relax, these things start to come up because they finally have space to. It's like the brain and the body say, we finally feel safe enough to get to tell you everything we're going through and feeling right now. Let us share all of our stuff with you. It's like if a little 4-year-old girl came up to you with a stuffed unicorn and a pink princess dress and said, hey, Marf, do you want to hear my song?
Sure, let's hear it.
Would you say, no, you're not
Yeah.
allowed to sing?
Yeah, imagine.
Well, the little 4-year-old princess in all of our brains just wants our thoughts to be acknowledged and validated.
So true.
And then all we're doing is saying, no, you're not allowed to think that. So how do you think the little princess in the brain is going to respond to that?
Shut down
Yeah,
or something.
it's either going to shut down or grow,
Yeah.
get louder
Yeah.
or shut
Yeah.
down. And this is where then you have reacting
Yeah.
without any control, or just reacting without thinking, just off the cuff without any filtering or processing. So that's I like to call that an unconscious action. You're not actually conscious and mindful of that action. It's just triggered by a reaction to a thought or emotion or a belief that you have. So there's that approach where things could blow up, but there's also the approach where then you could dissociate, cut off. This is too much. I can't handle it. I'm cutting off. So I've essentially abandoned myself in this moment because I don't want to deal with my feelings.
Push it down.
And again, what messages are being sent to that little 4-year-old princess, whether it's an explosive yelling response or an abandonment response? How's she going to react to either of those? And this is what most of us do, one of those things. And it's
I'm
totally...
more the abandonment one.
I'm that
Yeah,
one too.
yeah.
I'm that one too. I am a peacekeeper and
Yeah, same.
so I don't like raising my voice, even if it's not
Nice.
a negative way to raise my voice. I still don't like raising my voice.
Yeah.
It's just not something that feels good for me in my body.
Yeah.
And that's great. Some people project like it ain't no thing, and
Yeah.
that's awesome. They're probably not meditation
If that's
teachers.
what they want to do. But
But
yeah, I'm not a big yeller either.
yeah. So
I've yelled. I've made mistakes.
Right?
I've been angry. But
there's a
never
space
feels
for
good.
it. It's important.
It is important,
right?
yeah.
And there's some times where it
Yeah.
does feel good. But
Yeah.
back to the meditation. This is what I find a lot as a meditation teacher. And so when you give people the knowing, the realization that, oh, you don't actually have to stop your thinking mind. You don't have to stop your thoughts.
Just free.
Oh my gosh, what the heck? Who knew? We could meditate and still think at the same time. We could just meditate, notice our thoughts, and not get tied into our thoughts. And that's actually all that meditation is.
I like
That breaks it
Yeah.
down, right?
I like that. Then I like to feel like I'm looking more.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
So
detach.
I really like to say that meditation is the act of curiosity, openness, awareness. That's all. And so in meditation, you get the opportunity to sit with yourself in all of your truth. And then that's why I'm there, is that I'm there to help teach you tools to be able to handle that with more ease, more peace, and more fluidity, so that it not just becomes something you do in a yoga studio in a classroom. It starts becoming a way you choose to live your life off the mat and outside of the yoga studio. So that might mean that, emotionally triggering conversation with your daughter. You're able to take a deep breath, listen to her words, not take it so personally. You're acknowledging, okay, she said this thing to me, which triggered this in me. Let's just give an example for fun. You know how sometimes teenagers can get really dramatic and powerful, or passionate, let's just say. Passionate's the best word. And teenagers will say things they don't mean a lot because they haven't understood necessarily the power of language yet. And so they'll say, oh, I just hate you, I don't even like you, Mom, or whatever. And that could really impact a mother who's, the role of a mother is just, there's so much sacrifice to that and so much love and generosity, and it's just ever generative, right? And so I can imagine hearing that as a mother would feel like I'm getting goosies talking about it, because it would feel so deflating, right? And in that moment, that mother has an opportunity to respond. But how she responds is going to determine on how aware of herself she is.
Yeah.
Chances are, if she's a seasoned meditator, she'll take a breath. Or if she doesn't even have to be seasoned, just a meditator who's learning these practices and wanting to learn them more. Chances are she'll take a breath. She'll acknowledge how she's feeling. She won't put that on her daughter. She'll say something like, I hope you didn't mean that. I'm going to choose to believe that you didn't. But I'm going to walk away now.
Wow. Huh.
And in other cases, where a mom may not be as aware, she might respond and react. Well, how dare you say that? I do all these things for you. I gave you life, or whatever reasons they want to pull out of the hat. Or the mother could completely shut off. The daughter says that, and the mother says nothing and just walks away, which that's an abandonment to both the mother herself and the kid at that point. and that's where we're talking these back to that energy of that little princess in the brain of stopping it or letting it grow. It's that same situation here. That mother has the opportunity to stop it or let it grow, or come and meet in the middle, take a breath, respond with more intention, more awareness from herself about what's going on for her. And chances are that approach is going to lead to a more harmonious unfolding of
Much
that
more gentle.
situation, right? And to me, that is what differentiates people who have an understanding of meditation or have had meditative experiences that breed self-awareness, and the people who have not had those opportunities or don't go out and create those opportunities to know themselves better. And these are just hypotheticals we're speaking in, of course. I'm
I
just
like it.
kind of
Yeah.
throwing examples
Yeah.
off the top of my head. But because I know sort of the ways in which these tools help everyday people, I'm drawing off of examples that students have told me about. So it's not that they're completely made up. It just might be someone else's truth.
Yeah.
So, when people are telling me that when they go through 6 weeks of meditation with me, that they are a better partner, a better mother, father, daughter, brother, sister, a better human being to those on the street, a better human being to themselves. When people are telling me this over and over and over again, I have no choice but to believe that it's magic, right? That they're feeling it. The magic is happening for them. The rewiring is happening. And they might not understand the science of it. I do, because I love it and I'm a nerd about it, right?
Same.
I think the neuroscience is very, very cool, and that's why I'll teach just a tiny bit of it in my meditation course, just because I think it's really enlightening and cool for people to understand, oh, when I feel this way, my brain's operating at alpha wave.
Yeah.
When I feel this way, or when I'm doing this task, my brain is operating at this wave. And so just having that simple awareness of, oh, I'm a bit stressed right now. I'm in beta. I am like, my brain waves are going. We're dialed in. We're a bit stressy. How can I get to feeling more calm? So then someone might, if they understand a little bit, how could I get to feeling my alpha waves? Okay, I'm going to count backwards from 20. There's the idea of reverse is very calming for the brain. So instead of counting up to a number, you count down. And it's the reason being is it feels very complete. There's no there's nowhere else to go.
There's no ...
You're coming down, and then it's and so the brain, there's this interesting thing that happens, and it triggers this alpha wave state in the brain when you start counting down from a certain number.
So you must do that in meditation then, in your classes?
Yes, we
Okay.
do it with like breath counting.
Okay.
So, you'll inhale, exhale, count 10. Inhale, exhale, count 9,
Yeah.
8, and then go down to 1. And then if they lose count or get to 1, just begin again at 10. And, if they don't get to 1, by the time we're moving on to something else, there's this gentle, just release the need to get to 1. And chances are it's already stimulated that alpha wave in the brain. So they'll be fine to let that go and move on. I know some people might listen to that and be like, I'd have to get to 1. It would be so frustrating. But, leave some room for being surprised. You might think you know something about your brain and how it might respond to meditation, but I think the most loving thing you could do when you step into that environment is to allow yourself to be surprised. Allow the magic to kind of happen so that you can not only feel the goods of it, but, be kind of pleasantly taken aback, like, oh, this is a byproduct of meditation that I didn't know existed, that I didn't even know I could access, but because I had no pressure to get there, here I am.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
You mentioned magic a couple times, so...
Yeah, I truly
there's-
do.
Do you believe in magic?
Oh,
Yeah.
through and through.
Nice, yeah. Carol Gass asked me that question before.
It's a
Like,
great
it
question,
is a good-
right?
I said this very similar answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm glad you did.
Thanks.
Absolutely, magic
Yeah.
exists.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah, I think if magic didn't exist, we wouldn't be here right now
Yeah,
talking.
I think more magic exists when you have an open mind and you're in flow state and grounded and all that.
Oh, of course, like with
More
anything,
coincidences
right?
and
When you're open to
synchronicities.
something and not even just open mind, but open heart to something, and you're just allowing yourself to be delighted, there's gonna. I think that's the biggest thing, and I'll say it again. In order to really experience the magic, you have to allow yourself to be delighted. You have to allow yourself to feel it.
Amen.
You know, feel worthy of it.
Yeah. Which is
Allow
harder
yours-
these days sometimes, hey, when you know there's so much going on in the world.
And so many things that are like shoved in our face that are really tempting to trigger comparison.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know about you, but I've curated my Instagram to be very in alignment with my values. And so everything I see is something that I agree with. But it's not always healthy for me to see in every single moment, whether it's, a certain beauty standard or a certain demeanor in someone or a certain capacity to be like all these boss babes and entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And like, that's very admirable and commendable, but it's hard not to then, if you're seeing that, it's hard not to then compare or to question, well, what would that be like? And I don't remember where I was going with that point.
You got it.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
So we're in a world where we're constantly exposed to things like that, right? And, career, beauty, family, all these things, they're just examples, and everyone's going to have their own sort of unique resonance to which one they're desiring in that Instagram post or whatever. But those inklings, they come up. It's very human to see something and get curious about it, or to see something that you haven't experienced or don't have and be curious about it. And this is where this acceptance and this allowing yourself to be delighted is so important, because it's so easy to get caught up in who XYZ is doing and being surrounded by that as well. It's a part of our culture. An influencer is a job now. People are making good money doing that, and people are, choosing what they want to influence and how they want to influence. And I don't necessarily agree with a lot of it going on, but I do agree with some of it, right? Like, there's beautiful parts to it. There's beautiful influence being spread around. But we know that this is a bigger thing than it's ever been, and it's impacting more people than ever. And so that's where it's so important to come back and to allow yourself to feel the magic in your own world and to be delighted in your own world, because that drive home where the sun is just setting perfectly on the wildflowers and you just are like, wow, I get to live this moment. Like, those flowers are so pretty. And
Even
like,
being aware.
yeah, and the sun is shining and I got my music on. I'm just having a great time driving home.
Yeah.
Like, these are small moments that deserve to be romanticized. And when they do, they expand and multiply. And when
So
someone
true.
really is able to sit back and relax and genuinely delight in that and fully receive it, like, yeah, I'm meant to have this beautiful, tiny little gift that maybe some days just feels monotonous. It's my drive home. But today, it's magic. And I'm going to let myself sit there and be in that. And I'm getting goosies again,
There you
because
are, yeah.
that's what it's about. Like,
So true.
This, like, oh my
Yeah.
God, this is why we're here. This is what it's all for. It's the magic. It's the moments that the magic is felt and seen.
Being present.
Yeah. My cousin, he's got 2 young babies now, and my niece and nephew, they're so cute. But he says, like, oh man, I think his oldest is not quite 3, will be 3 in September.
New family.
Yeah, they're 2 under 2 for a while. So
Oh, wow.
they were, I don't know how much they've slept in the last couple
Back
years,
to
I'll
back.
tell you that.
Yeah.
But
for them.
that's sort of, my cousin Tanner was telling me, like, I don't know how I'll get it through another day. I never know. I didn't know I had this much tenacity. And every day I wake up, I'm like, whoa, I got more. Who knew? And then he tells me, I don't know what I'm going to do. And then one little moment happens. It's like a split fraction of a second that makes me forget about all of that. You know, maybe his son gave him a hug for just that extra bit longer. Or maybe his daughter smiled and was, you know, delighted in a new picture or a sound or something that she's learning. And something that simple, that's the magic. And so for him, he's embracing, okay, like, those are the moments. That's the moments of the magic that keep me going when I feel like fatherhood is just drilling me into the ground and I'm so tired and I don't know what to do. This is where romanticizing in that magic is so important. You know, when his little guy hugs him that extra second, you bet your butt he's holding on extra tight because he knows, this is it. This is the magic. I get to feel it right now.
That's cool. He's aware of that too.
It is cool. Yeah. It is cool. And it's cool that he's allowing the absolute beauty of those micro moments to keep him energized through the day, because he sure as heck isn't relying on sleep. So he's relying on something. Yeah. It's like pure love, just really. And if that's not the magic, I don't know what is, to be honest.
Yeah. I'm grateful for my parents. My dad grinded his whole life for us. It was cool.
Yeah. It's cool. Like, it's just, when you're growing up and you're younger and you may not understand it, you don't see it as such a beautiful gift. And the older you get and the more you sort of understand, you reflect and think, wow, I really had it good. I was
you become more grateful later on.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a gift to be able to do that and to be able to go through the internal process that you're ready to acknowledge all the positives and feel grateful, because, and I've been there too, it can be really easy to get caught up in all of the stuff that's hard and let that take over.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been...
Could be a negative spiral. It's hard to pull yourself out sometimes.
Exactly. So, and that very much happened on my journey. And I know we haven't talked on it a lot. I've talked about my journey a lot in the past.
I didn't fish much.
But, you know, I went through a lot of health issues. I spent a lot of time in the hospital as a kid. You know, birthdays, Christmas, New Year's, these things. I'm hooked up to IVs and, you know, getting the news that I need surgeries and things like that. So, like, I had those experiences growing up, and even just being poked and prodded in so many ways before I even ever had the experience of, you know, desiring physical touch from someone. I didn't have a choice. I had it because I was being poked and prodded by all sorts of people. And it wasn't even in a beautiful way that most people like to experience, you know, physical touch. It was just mundane, routine, male doctors taking care of this 11-year-old girl, right? But it's tough. Like all this body autonomy taken away at such a young age, right? And that is something that I didn't know affected me so deeply until I started unpacking things later on. It was like, wow, the first experiences I ever had of a man touching me that wasn't my father was a doctor doing medical exams.
Yeah, that sucks.
Ooh.
I'm wondering what's wrong with me too.
Yeah, and that's like, it's so weird. My point is, it's easy to get caught up in those things and live there. And I did for a long time, because that's just one small piece of the complex PTSD that I've gone through, and that it's a continual process to navigate and to keep managed. But yeah, like, it's just one of those things. It's easy to get caught there.
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught there, and rightfully so. And I've talked on this a lot, more so past when I was doing a lot of the advocacy work for Canadian Mental Health Association and spoke speaking and stuff like that. Thanks. Yeah, it was a very vulnerable. A lot
for a young age.
It was a very vulnerable time. But my message at that time was just to spread the message that it's okay not to be okay, because that was a message I didn't feel like I was getting. And that message sort of grew into it's okay not to be okay, and it's okay to address that how you feel you need to. And so I really want to, I feel myself going on a thought here, and I want to
Keep going.
take it, but I do want to just come back to saying that when life throws in these things of mental health struggles and, trauma and accidents and all of the tough stuff that can happen, it can be so easy to think that that's life. And
Yeah.
that's a cognitive distortion that
Yeah.
that happens rightfully
Yeah.
so as a result of
Yeah,
things
it
that
feels like
humans
it's never
have to.
going to change. It's like, ah.
Yeah, and you get beaten down. Hard things happen enough and for a long enough time that you just start to take it on as you like. I started to get to a point from the age of 9 to the age of 20. I was dealing with so much health stuff, right? And I still continued to after that point. But really specifically around 19, 20, 21, 22, I felt myself very much stuck in kind of that mud of taking on the identity of I am sick, I am unwell, I don't have good fortune, things
Oh,
like
no,
that,
that'd be
right?
hard.
It is hard because when you fall into believing that, the brain doesn't really care what you believe. It just likes to find reasons to validify what you do believe. It doesn't care.
Yeah.
It's the brain
And it
isn't
will find
emotional.
ways.
The brain, like, there's parts of the brain that are emotional, of course. And I mean, I like to think that our emotions are bred from somewhere a little bit deeper. Our emotions can't be thought around. It's limbic, so it's a more uncontrollable thing. But I think I've lost my point.
You'll get it.
Yeah, I will.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it just takes a minute to come back.
It's like, do I distract you?
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
We're back into it.
Yeah, nice.
So, really, what I was getting to, you sort of create the life that you step into with your beliefs. And I'm not saying you create the events that happen to you. Not at all.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sitting here saying, like, oh, yeah, like, I completely created my entire life story, because I don't feel that way. I do feel like I was given cards that were given to me by something greater, because I have the capacity to be able to handle it. And that is, a gift in its own way. And we could totally go down that rabbit hole. But for right now, I spent time there in that woe is me place. And I was miserable. And I was suicidal. And I was unwell.
I'm glad
and
you
I
got
was
past that.
self-harming.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
You'd never think. Yeah.
It's crazy,
Probably
right?
A
I know.
lot of people have gone through your situation.
I know.
And you would never know.
Yeah,
Wow.
and for me, I was also very good at hiding it. Like, I'm very good at kind of putting on a smile, and I have to watch that for myself, because I don't want it to ever be at the expense of my authenticity.
Yeah.
But it is just how I stay strong. It's like, for me, if I can get through the day with a smile, I feel much more empowered and stronger and confident than getting through the day with a frown. And that's for me, and it might not be like that for everyone, but that's what gets me through and helps me manage my stress, is when I'm maintaining my joy the best I can. But just because I maintain my joy doesn't mean I don't have the other difficult stuff going on.
Yeah, I agree
It's a
100%.
choice.
Yeah.
It's a choice. And in the time that I wasn't so committed and intentional to maintaining my joy, that's when I got stuck.
Okay, wow. That actually resonates with me right now, because I'm kind of in a transitional phase, acting with the AI and the Trump
Yeah.
threats,
Oh,
tariffs, and all
gosh.
that. And
Yeah.
there's lots of hesitation, and everything's quite slow. Not
Yeah,
everything.
I can
but
imagine. Yeah.
Anyways, but yeah, like your joy. What brings you joy in riding? It's hard to ride your highest level of excitement.
Yeah.
I wish I could just keep that going forever. But it's
I
so
know, right?
unrealistic.
And it's
Yeah.
not designed to, right?
Yeah.
Like, the only reason
Thanks.
it feels so good is because it's not all the time. If it
Yeah.
was all the time, it wouldn't feel so good.
Oh yeah, maybe,
It would become a new baseline, and then it'd be like, this is mundane now.
Then
This is my
everything else-
baseline. So
yeah.
what's more, right?
Right.
It's like, yeah, it's a tricky dance with that.
I like
but,
it.
that really is the focus. It's like, maintain the joy.
Amen.
The tough stuff's allowed to happen. Don't
Yeah,
try to stop
and
it,
deal with
man.
it,
Like
yeah.
that is, you're never going to get through life without
No.
hard stuff
Yeah.
happening. If
So
you
true.
do, good for you.
Yeah.
I'd be completely shocked. You're an anomaly.
Probably never happened.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's like, oh, are you alive? I don't know.
And we made it through this. Jeff already gave us a thumbs up.
Okay.
We've made it through the hour.
Great.
And the hour was up when we said joy. We were talking
Oh,
about joy.
yeah, I love
you
that.
mentioned joy.
Well, I'll probably just like
Yeah.
wrap my
Yeah.
points up and then, yeah,
Perfectly.
we can choose whatever we want to do with that. But,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's just very important to this is where it all weaves together, is when you romanticize your delights, you are feeding your joy, which inevitably is going to lead to a happier state of being. You know, when you go through your day to day and you don't take that extra 10 seconds, 30 seconds to delight in or to really revel or romanticize your delights, whether it's the sun rays on your face or, like we were saying, that great drive on the way home, or maybe that amazing meal or that ice cream cone you decided to pick up just because it's sunny and you wanted it, or, you know, taking your shoes off and walking on the grass. Like tiny little moments, romanticize those, because the moment you start overseeing them is the moment the magic starts disappearing. And then you start thinking you don't have magic, but no, it's just the magic is still there. It's just not being seen, acknowledged, right? So maybe that drive is exactly the same, but instead of enjoying the sun on the flowers and the sun rays coming down on the road just right, and you're maybe thinking about that meeting you have or that phone call you haven't made yet, or, you know, I'm so tired, I'm just going to focus on getting home, which is fine. And it's okay that I do that. There's times when I drove home and I'm like, my focus is just to get home. And I don't see any magic
You don't
on
even
that
remember the
drive.
drive.
It's fine. It's like, I'm focused. But then there's some, and most of the time, as much as possible, I really try to delight. I romanticize my delights because it feeds into that process, and then it becomes a way of being. It becomes a way of
Joyful.
life. That is exactly how I pulled my way out of being suicidally depressed and self-harming. I romanticized the tiniest little joys,
Nice.
the tiniest little joys, and even if it felt forced at first, you know, but just one split second of,
Love it.
you know, that's a magic. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. I have a dog. Oh my God, I love my dog. There's magic there, right? So I can be feeling this way in myself, but I have acknowledged the gratitude I have for my dog. I'm feeling the magic. And that translates then into life. It really does.
Yeah, it brings you more joy. I love that.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it really helps you not stay stuck in the muck, because the muck will always be
Yeah,
there,
nice.
right?
Okay, I'm going to start romanticizing. I'm going to be more in the moment to romanticize those moments.
Yeah, exactly. And to me, like, I'm really just gonna bring it all back together. Like, to me, meditation, very interesting tool to be able to start navigating this and getting curious around these types of things, because you don't have all the other stuff. You have just stillness, just to be. And it might feel a little crazy at first. It might be hard. You might need to generate the skills to be able to sit with your nervous system and your emotions and your thoughts and all those things. But once you generate that, then you can sit in this place and you can start sort of just being with, witnessing. It's almost like watching a TV program. It's like the moment you start meditating, you sit down on that couch, you click the TV of your brain on, and you get to watch. And that feels really uncomfortable for many people because it's active, right? It's active. If you were watching a TV show that was active, you probably wouldn't at all. Well, you know, I can't do this, right? Because you're watching it happen. In meditation, and this is where coming back to that, and I'll pull it into the other point, I promise, coming back to that, that not trying to stop things from happening, but generating the tools to be able to hold space for those things that are happening. This is where it gets so cool, and I'm nerding out. This is where it gets so cool, because people then are given the opportunity in that state to notice the muck, to notice the magic, to notice all of it without having to do anything. So rather than, you know, clicking on that TV program, watching the TV program, while simultaneously maybe like emoting the program physically while you're watching, like, you don't do that, right? You don't hop onto the TV program and go on this whole physiological ride with it. I mean, maybe you do, you're an actor, so it's a little different, but we do that with ourselves and our thoughts. But if we really treat our brain and the activity during meditation as that TV program, we're just sitting to watch it. We don't have to go and then be a part of that TV show. We don't have to go and act out the TV show. We don't have to respond to the TV show at all. We don't even have to, give it much of our emotion. But we can still watch it and be aware and observe. And that's exactly what happens in meditation when you start to learn the skills to not get pulled into the discomfort. You're just watching the TV show of your mind. You're watching the TV show of you, essentially. And you learn a lot there. And then not only do you learn these different qualities about yourself, but then you can also intentionally bring things in. You can intentionally learn how to focus on joy. You can intentionally learn how to regulate your nervous system enough to be able to hold joy.
Yeah.
You know, you're given this opportunity, and especially in the way that I do it, with a teacher, with a coach, to be able to use meditation as a tool that really just makes any and every area of your life better if you wanted to.
It really does.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that sitting down cross-legged chanting Om, like that's going to be for everyone. I don't do it. I lay down to meditate because I'm tired half the time. I want to relax, you know? So I lay down to meditate, and if I'm worried about sleeping, I'll just put my hands up.
Oh,
so
nice.
my hands are above my elbows, and then
So you don't
if I
fall
fall
asleep.
asleep, my hands fall.
Oh, nice.
And then it wakes you up, right? So I'll do that because I like to meditate lying down. Everyone's different.
Yeah, I like to meditate
And-
first thing in the morning and at night.
Yeah, there you go.
That's
You
why I
have
do
your
fall
system.
asleep. I
Yeah,
do,
that's
but-
perfect.
yeah.
It's a good way to fall asleep. But some people might not be able to be in stillness. And while I think that there is great space for that because so much is revealed in stillness, it might be too much. And that's okay. Don't start there then. Start with a walking meditation. Go for a walk in the woods,
Yeah.
the bush, the wood, bush.
I do the same thing.
Go for a walk and just notice the sun on your face. Notice the color of the leaves. Notice the ground under your feet. Notice how it's like kind of unlevel. Notice the clouds in the distance. Notice the flower brushing in the wind. Notice the leaves rustling. Like, that's also meditation. Guess what? You've dropped in. You're tuned in. You're with the present moment. You're with yourself in presence, and you're with, in that example, you're with the earth in presence as well. That's meditation too, so that counts. So I don't want to discount, these meditative activities like journaling and walking and music and movement, and even, exercise and sport for many. Like, these things can be a meditation.
Absolutely.
While I do think everyone should explore stillness meditation at least once in their life because it is so profound and powerful. If you've tried it and it doesn't work for you, like, do what does. The matter of the fact is, as long as you are sitting with yourself, aware of all these different layers of you, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, if you subscribe to that.
I do.
As long as you're sitting with that in awareness and with connection and learning a little bit about yourself and having some information be be revealed about, oh, this is how I operate. This is how I feel about this thing. Oh, I think that thought a lot. If you're just becoming aware of that, you're meditating. It's great. I mean, I'm meditating right now.
Yeah.
That's the coolest thing is like when you learn, your life becomes a meditation. It becomes
agree.
just a moving prayer.
Yeah.
And then it becomes this easy, beautiful way to live. You just live in meditation. You don't have to, and you don't have to start there. I started meditating 2 minutes at a time because where my nervous system was in my health at the time, it was too kicked up. I could not sit longer than that. 2 minutes was torture. Absolute torture.
Not anymore, though.
No. And then 2 became 4, and then 4 became 5, and then 5 became 7, 7 became 10, 12, 15, up to the point where, and we didn't touch on this, but I was going through a big health scare, brain injury back in 2019, colon, liver, kidney failure. Like I was really unwell. I was about 93 pounds, which is about 45 pounds less than I am right now. I'm not a big person. So I was just very slender and unwell, but I was meditating for about 2 hours a day at that time because that's what was healing me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pretty good for you.
Yeah, it was so
You healed
healing
yourself.
and regenerative, and this is where I was really tapping into the magic and the healing benefits of theta state.
Nice.
Because in theta, our cells turn over faster, our tissues regenerate faster. It's exactly what happens when we're sleeping. So 20 minutes of theta state is equal to 4 hours of deep sleep.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Amazing, right?
Yeah.
So 20 minutes of accessing this theta wave state in the brain reboots the system the same as 4 hours of deep sleep.
Wow. So it's a no-brainer.
No-brainer. So when you learn to meditate, not only does it impact kind of yourself and your inner world, but obviously everywhere around you, because you're then taking all these tools you have and applying them to your relationships, your work, your life,
Life
your
gets better.
values. Yeah. So I like to believe that, of
Nice.
course. I mean, I'm a little biased, but it really is, that truly is how the power of meditation can work out in someone's life. And I don't meditate 2 hours a day anymore. I don't even meditate every day anymore, like sit down, intentionally meditate every day anymore, because meditation on some days just doesn't apply. If I wake up anxious, the last thing my body wants to do is be still. And according to polyvagal theory, you don't want to be still because you're in an activated state in your nervous system. So first you get rid of energy. So I'll do a walking meditation because my body needs to move. I still have the opportunity to connect and to be present, but I don't have to try to carve out time in my day to be still, A, if I don't have time, or B, if it's just not working with where my body and my mind are at that day. Because even though it's a powerful tool, it's not always going to be the thing that helps. And this is where, having a toolbox comes in handy. You have different things to draw from, and this is why I teach people in my classes several different ways to manage their nervous system.
Different tools.
Different tools. So it's like, okay, well, I tried the counting from the breath counting down, that didn't work. So I can try now a body scan, but I can also try box breathing, but I can also try this and that and this. So people are starting to generate skills.
Yeah, nice.
And that helps them in their day to day.
And they could do it themselves eventually.
And just living that better life, right? It's
I love
like
it.
you improve one area and the ripple effect starts to happen.
I love
So I truly believe meditation to be a powerful tool in that process and a powerful ally in life. Do I think it's the end all be all only nervous system relief tool? No, I don't. This is why I teach many, but I do think that meditation is so profound in the sense that it gives us deeper self-awareness and self-wisdom that is born within the self. It is self-guided. So there's just profound power to that,
Well, thanks for
in
coming.
my opinion.
Well, thanks for telling us your story. You've come a long way.
Nice little bits, little pieces here and there.
Nice.
But yeah, it's fun to chat. I mean, I could obviously talk about this stuff for
I love it.
days, like you probably
Definitely
noticed. But
passionate. It's great.
yeah.
Cool. Well, maybe if there's a next year, maybe we could do a part 2.
I love that.
Yeah,
Actually,
nice.
yeah, that would be really fun. I'd
Nice.
enjoy that a lot.
Thanks, and have fun this weekend with your gig, or is that the weekend after?
So the weekend coming up. So
Okay,
yeah, this
nice.
weekend. I know
Yeah, good,
we're
yeah.
in a weird day because we're right before a stat, and it's
Oh
it's
yeah, it's
like
tomorrow, right?
like right after a
Saturday.
weekend. So it's like, is it Sunday? What day is it? But yeah, so this coming weekend, Ramada PG Prize Society, I'll be singing at their high tea event.
Yay!
So come
Yeah.
on. And in regards to meditation, if anyone's curious, they can reach out to me on social media.
Okay.
My personal page or my wellness page. That's Facebook or Instagram. And I will be starting another IRS course in the fall once summer
Okay.
kind of wraps up. So if anyone's interested, please reach out.
All right. What is it?
I'm pumped to meditate
Brooklyn
together.
Derksen on Instagram.
So I'm Brooklyn and Derksen on Instagram,
Okay.
and then Be Wellness _ CA at
Okay.
that's my wellness one.
I like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So other than that, yeah, 5 Minute Studios, and
Okay.
keep an eye on my page because might do some yoga in the yard this year for summer.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see.
I'm sure we'll make it to at least one.
Yeah, why not? Come get flexi.
Signing up, Jeff.
I'll be sure to send the invite out so,
Yeah, please
so
do.
you guys at least know about it. But,
Awesome. Well, thanks for your
yeah.
time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I had fun today.
Yeah, great. Me too.
Yeah.
I'm impressed by your journey already.
Oh, well, thanks. Cheers.
Yeah.